need to know that you're loyal. I need you to find a way to prove it.
I'm the bad guy.
Bonjour à tous et merci de nous suivre. Aujourd'hui, on avait envie d'aborder avec Émilie des problèmes de boulimie.
Mais j'ai pas de problème, moi.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for our weekly film show with our critic Lisa Nesselson. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Eve.
Thanks for joining us. Now, we're starting with Bombshell, starring Oscar nominees Charlize Theron and Margot Robbie, along with Nicole Kidman in a true story of sexual harassment at Fox News headquarters. Now, Lisa, as 24-hour news channels go, can you put Fox News into context for us?
Sure, glad to. You've heard of Satan, the Prince of Darkness? Well, this is his personal television channel in the USA. Media mogul Rupert Murdoch gave cynical political strategist Robert Ailes a free hand to build it from scratch. And starting in 1996, Ailes gave the devil a slick media outlet that billed itself as fair and balanced while raving about left liberal media bias, leading tens of millions of mostly gullible people to believe that Fox was finally representing their views and therefore sticking it to that snooty coastal media establishment that just lies about everything.
Now, some experts trace the explosion of Me Too and the movement that came after it to what happened at Fox, where Ailes used his power to intimidate everybody, especially young women. The film is set, though, in 2016. Why?
There's a reason for that. If all that remained of the history of American television news was tapes of Fox News, well, a space alien would conclude that all American females have bleach blonde hair, wear short skirts, and that their legs are the most important part of their bodies, brain optional. This terrific film is set in 2016 because that's when nobody believed candidate Donald Trump was electable, but everybody thought displaying his bluster and his ignorance made for lively television. A pact, it turns out, with the aforementioned devil. Murdoch thought Trump was an idiot, and Ailes, brilliantly played here by John Lithgow, was stunned by how much Fox's own viewers seems to genuinely like Trump. The fast-moving action portrays how, after getting fired, one of the network's star anchors, Gretchen Carlson, sued Ailes for sexual harassment, and it keeps us into suspense as to whether bigger star anchor, Megyn Kelly, will risk her career to back up Carlson's allegations.
OK, well, let's take a look at a staffer played by Saturday Night Live's Kate McKinnon explaining to Ernest newbie Kayla what their workplace is really like.
So Rush is on Hannity's team. They're the competition. They're GOP party hacks. So he thinks he's way ahead of them. So steal from Drudge and Breitbart, not talk radio. Okay. Also, stop worrying if a story's legit. If you can't source it, just go with some are saying. Seriously? You have to adopt the mentality of an Irish street cop. The world is a bad place. People are lazy morons. Minorities are criminals. Sex is sick but interesting. Ask yourself what would scare my grandmother or piss off my grandfather. And that's a Fox story. Are you writing this down?
Oh, it makes so much sense.
Frighten, titillate. Right. Frighten, titillate.
Now, the two characters we just saw are invented for the film, but Nicole Kidman and Charlize Theron play real people, and Theron also produced.
Yes, the film is absolutely awash in real people. Robbie is Kayla, a self-described conservative, evangelical, millennial, and Christian influencer, is so incredibly good that she convinces us she's a real person, and so we're upset for her when she finds herself humiliated by the boss in ways no woman should ever have to endure to get promoted. In fact, if fact-based reporting and historical accuracy were valued, then Fox wouldn't have the most viewers, which they do. Fox News finished 2019 with its highest ratings in its 23-year history. Meanwhile, Business Insider just reported that 7,800 jobs were lost in the media industry in 2019, and that's everything from small-town newspapers to bigger online publications. As Daily Kos put it a few weeks ago, quote, Fox News is booming while other media is shriveling up. It means that more and more people are getting their understanding of Trump's impeachment trial directly from his right-wing propaganda machine, Fox News, end quote.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Bombshell after that. 5 French directors have gotten together to take a sardonic look at the role digital devices and social media play in our lives. Tell us about Selfie.
Well,
Have you ever taken a selfie?
This is my portable phone, and I haven't been able to find a selfie stick to use with it. They keep snapping. It's the Bakelite. No, actually, everyone here will tell you this is my real cell phone, and it's not a smartphone. And unfortunately, that's my way of leading up to the fact that Selfie is not a smart movie, which is too bad because the hold digital communications have on our attention spans, I think, is right up there with global warming is a daily concern. Now, 2 of the 5 comic sketches work better than the rest. One is the story of an uptight literature professor in a French high school who doesn't have a smartphone or a tablet, but gets one when the school requires it. So, using the handle of Merteuil, as in Madame de Merteuil from the famous epistolary novel Les Liaisons Dangereuses, she ends up sparring anonymously with a popular young stand-up comic with a huge following and a limited vocabulary. The other semi-worthwhile comic skit, which runs through the episodes, features a typical French family whose youngest child is suffering from a rare disease that will probably kill him. They have lots of followers online, and we meet them as they're staying up late as a family to see their heartwarming video tick over past 2 million views. The mom is played by brilliant and popular French stand-up comic Blanche Gardin.
Okay, well, let's take a look at Gardin and her on-screen husband trying to keep their web views up.
Alors aujourd'hui, on avait envie de partager avec vous sur l'alimentaire parce que c'est vrai que c'est pas facile de passer au bio quand on est une famille nombreuse. Putain, mais merde! Vous voyez pas qu'il y a une caméra là? Tout le monde s'en branle de nous. Merde! C'est chiant d'être allergique au chat, putain. On aura un chat. On aura des millions de vues là.
Now, movies have a long tradition, actually, of ridiculing new forms of mass media. In A Letter to Three Wives from 1946, writer-director Joseph Mankiewicz has a smart woman who writes scripts for radio soap operas, and he ridicules how stupid the shows themselves are and the ads from the sponsors are. Jerry Lewis made fun of TV advertising when Americans were just starting to buy their first TV sets. He plays a character in front of the set, and when the advertiser's voice says, "So don't wait, buy one today," Lewis stands up, starts putting on his coat, and actually heads for the door.
Okay. Have you ever taken a selfie?
No, I've been in one.
We're going to do it after the show. We're going to do it after the show. Okay, Lisa. The producing and directing duo Merch and Ivory are the subject of a new retrospective at Paris' Cinematheque. Tell us more.
Well, Indian Muslim Ismail Merchant and American Protestant James Ivory formed their company in 1961 to make English-language films in India and ended up making 44 films together, including popular award-winning hits like Howard's End and A Room with a View. Merchant died in 2005, and Ivory is still going strong. At age 91, he was apparently the oldest person ever to win an Oscar for his adapted screenplay to the 2017 male romance Call Me By Your Name with Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer.
And to say it's like a Merchant Ivory movie became a sort of mildly dismissive shorthand for a certain kind of very well-crafted costume drama, didn't it?
Definitely, but that was never really fair. Most of their films, despite their beautiful surfaces, are subversive, addressing class and outsider status, and many show what we now call a queer sensibility, a little ahead of the curve, both men being gay. Their frequent screenwriter, Ruth Praver Jabala, was a German Jew by way of Poland and India, and together they fashioned a wide-ranging body of work while flying an invisible flag, I'd say, for the creativity of immigrants from wildly different backgrounds. You can summarize their oeuvre as great acting in magnificent settings, and for the most part, stories worth telling that most of us didn't have a clue we wanted to be told until they put them on screen. And quite a few of them are set entirely or in part here in Paris. Quartet, Mr. and Mrs. Bridge, Surviving Picasso, Jefferson in Paris, The Proprietor, and Le Divorce.
Okay, well, here are some images from Merchant Ivory Productions. of snogging there, Lisa.
Indeed. 1986 is A Room with a View, out again in French theaters this week, in which Helena Bonham Carter, chaperoned by Maggie Smith, travels to Florence, which is a perfect setting in which to examine British manners, won Best Adapted Screenplay, Art Direction, and Costume Design at the Oscars. For queer cinema for universal resonance, you really can't do better on the topic of longing than Morris from 1987, starring an impossibly gorgeous Hugh Grant and an impossibly beautiful Rupert Graves in an achingly convincing coming-of-age story set in England in the 19-teens and adapted from a book by E.M. Forster. The homosexual undertones become homosexual overtones, and unlike most gay stories on screen until recently, it has a happy ending.
Okay, well, the Merchant Ivory retrospective is on at Paris' Cinematheque until the 15th of February. Next, the 10th My French Film Festival is underway. It's a festival that brings French films to the world, and it's practically free, and you don't have to be in Paris to appreciate it.
Indeed you don't. France 24, of course, has viewers all over the world, and French films are exported with great success all over the place, but that doesn't mean they're easy to see where you happen to be living. So once a year, France's cinema promotion body, Unifrance, mounts an interesting online festival called My French Film Festival. If you have access to a computer or tablet and an internet connection, then you can watch a curated selection of recent French movies, features, and shorts divided into 8 broad themes. The short films are free in much of the world, 200 countries, and otherwise it's €1.99 for an individual film, or $7.99, less than $10 for all of them. If you only have time for one, I love Aux Confins du Monde, To the Ends of the World, a disturbing odyssey through colonial-era Indochina after a 1945 massacre by the Japanese that left our protagonist, splendidly played by Gaspard Ulliel, somehow as a survivor. So if one of your New Year's resolutions was to see more French films, and I hope it was, it will never be easier than this until this time next year.
Although it won't work if you've watched Selfie and thrown all of your digital devices in the bin. Okay, thank you, Lisa. We're going to leave you with a taster of My French Film Festival. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
France 24.